The best build for 1 to 60 is whatever you're going to enjoy playing the most. But the most efficient build is Blood Surge. Blood Surge just completely demolishes every other core skill because it requires almost no synergies to get working. Sure, we've all heard how good Bone Spear is at the end of the game, but like it requires so much crap. Good luck getting it to do anything before level 60. You're just not going to have the crit chance. You're not going to have the crit damage. You're not going to have the required uniques, a big sword that's perfectly optimized. Just run Blood Surge and grab an aspect that's right outside the front town and just hit level 15 and you're just done. The build's complete at 15. Here's what I mean. So when you start in Kiovashad, you just run out of here and go to Hoarfrost Demise. You clear this dungeon and you get Blood-Bathed Aspect. If this is your first character, throw it on a necklace because you don't have enough veiled crystals to keep upgrading this early on. On a necklace, it makes part of your Blood Surge do 60% more damage because it's 40% less. It's weird. Anyways, put it on a necklace. It's great. And once you unlock this ability, you can just keep slapping it on new gear. Though once again, if you put it on a necklace, you'll only have to upgrade it like 2 or 3 times before you hit 60. It's good. Basic skills are terrible, so we want to get rid of them as quick as possible. Why would you want to push a button that only does 45% damage to a small radius when you can push the big boy button and get 235% damage? Just like... why? Like, this nukes the screen. So, Blood Surge crushes all of these other abilities because of this 235% damage number. This is on a necklace. This is a two-hander. And without all the other ways of buffing, Blight, Sever, Bloodlance, and Bone Spear, these just kind of suck in comparison. It's not even close. This is plus 50% over Sever. And that's including like all of level 5 Sever with the upgrade trees and trying to factor in, attack speed boosts and other things to the other stuff. It's so much better. And you could say that this has a high essence cost, but you solve that just by grabbing Cold Mages. Cold Mages just give you 2 essence every attack. It takes about 2 Blood Surges to just wipe the whole screen. And then you get you replace Hemorrhage entirely with just Corpse Explosion plus Grim Harvest. Grim Harvest makes whenever you corpse explode, you just get 6 essence. You also get 6 essence just by repeatedly popping out your minions. And minions are clutch as hell in this build because Blood Surge will nuke all of the normal mobs are just dead in 1 to 2 casts real quick. And then minions, now they suck in-game scaling in season 1 and preseason and probably season 2, but minions 1 to 60 when you're fighting relatively the same level mobs, not in Nightmare Dungeons, minions absolutely slap. So your bar is going to look like this. You're going to have skill slots that are just literally empty. Like you might have Hemorrhage here or Reap or something just because you just have it. But you want to max out Blood Surge. You want to max out Corpse Explosion. And then you want to shove points into Skeletal Warriors and Skeletal Mages because they slap early game. And it's only when they start failing to scale Paragon that they're good, that they fall off. And Corpse Explosion, I mean, look at this. This is 154% damage. This is 45, 154. Huge radius, procs a bunch of effects, can give you move speed if you run into the Reaper's Pursuit or whatever. It's great. You want to run this, ignore this Hemorrhage crap. And what's great about Corpse Explosion is you can just hold down right click and be a dad gamer and then just press 1 to pop Blood Surge and it will just override the Corpse Explosion without you even having to stop holding down right click. It's super lazy. I love it. Now, there's a couple things you can do to smooth out your experience with Blood Surge. You're going to run Reapers so that you can have the extra corpses, so you always have some damage coming out from Corpse Explosion. You run Cold Mages, this is just mandatory. And you run Bone Prison, because with just 2 points into Bone Prison, one in rank 1 plus Enhanced Bone Prison, you get this huge essence recovery from this effect. If you just throw Bone Prison on a bunch of enemies, you'll get 70 essence That's like 2 blood surges, and you just go to the next room. So you just like wipe the floor, go to the next room, throw a bone prison, wipe the floor, go again, and you barely have to stop for essence. You just keep going, and it gets a lot smoother when you go over and get the requiem aspect. Once you're in that area of the world, you just grab this aspect, throw it on a ring, and you get like 121 essence, and it's just easy to just that's 4 blood surges. Like there's nothing in the game that can survive 4 blood surges until like you're like level 50. It just doesn't matter. Everything's just dead. And since you have Blown Prison, you grab these free aspects, like this one in also in Fractured Peats, just a little bit away from the Hoarfrost Demise, just makes it do 75% damage. Okay, it's free, it doesn't cost essence, it gives you essence, and it does damage. And Bursting Bones is actually really hilarious. My preseason build actually used it in my Army of the Dead build, because this damage doesn't look like a much, but this is before all your multipliers, so it's a significant amount of weapon damage, and then it's 6 hits, which can each crit, and like proc all kinds of things. The lucky hit chance of Bursting Bones is actually really high, because I think it's valued as like a default of, I don't know, 50% lucky hit, but there's 6 of them. So it procs Hued Flesh like all day, which is important because starting at level 30, you're going to need a separate way of generating Fortify. I'll get to that in a second. Now, there's optional drops you want to grab for more essence, one of which is the Skeletal Mages here. It's just like, you grab 2 more mages. Okay, essence battery, yes. And the other one you want to pick up is Frenzied Dead, and it just gives you 42% more essence from mages. I mean, yeah, the mages are also slapping and doing damage, but this says essence, so you grab that. All right, so about that Fortify. Next page. There are 2 different forms of Blood Surge. You've got Supernatural Blood Surge, which is what you use starting off. This just gives you 20% damage and some tank stats. They're just like, right off the bat, it's just amazing. And then once you get to around level 30, you start getting enough gear to consider doing an overpower build. So right around 30, it depends on where your gear is at. If you want to put max life on every slot. You want to put it on your rings, you want to put it on your pants, your chest, your helm. I don't think you can put it on your boots. But basically, you just want to stack max health. And then around 30, you want to swap to overpower. And what overpower lets you do is it lets you just continue building like straight tank and then still delete elite mobs 20 levels higher than you with overpowers. Paranormal Blood Surge is huge, but since you're no longer gaining overpower from Blood Surge, you need it to come from somewhere else. And that somewhere else is Dreadful Bone Prison with the Fortify option selected, Necrotic Carapace, which makes it so that whenever you generate a corpse from Hued Flesh, which remember is proccing all the time from Corpse Explosion, it's proccing all the time from the 6 Bone Prison shards, it's proccing from Reapers, you just get 6% max health Fortify. It used to be base health, it's now max. It's going to be amazing. So just get Fortify from this combination of things. If you need to get the Fortify from Bone Prison, that's fine. You might have to give up the vulnerability option on it, but vulnerability really isn't needed as much 1 to 60. Things just die before the setup matters. And depending on the season, if you're watching this in season 3 or 4, there may or may not be a seasonal power that just gives you automatic vulnerability on the world. In season 2, which is when I'm making this guide, there is the vampiric power that just like, there's 2 of them that just curse the world with vulnerability. So one of which just gives you a lucky hit, everything gives you vulnerability, and the other one is like, if you already have whatever the vampiric curse effect is on a mob, it's also vulnerable. So you don't need the vulnerable from Dreadful Bone Prison. And something to note about this build is I'm not giving you a skill for 3 and 4. Go do whatever you want to mess around. If you want to put a golem in here, have fun. If you want to put, play around with ultimate skills and get a feel for them before you hit 60 and get some idea of what they can do, play around. It's fine. These are not, the build is done. So I would highly suggest coming here and playing around. And remember, you're not going to have all the scaling tools. So, like, Army of the Dead is god-awful until you get the scaling tools to make it good. So, remember that you're not going to get a valid, like, you know, a completely valid feel for it. But, you know, heck, if you want to run Iron Maiden right now because you've got nothing better to do with your life, like, go ahead. It's going to be the most effective when the game is the easiest. So, have fun playing up until 60 with whatever this build is. And heck, probably at 50, a bunch of the other builds start to come online, but if you just don't want to waste the brain cells until you have Ancestral Gear, just keep running this till 60. In Season 1, I don't remember when I got into Tier 3, but it was probably like 30. It was a complete joke. It was completely a joke. And then I decided, and it was a little hard, but I cleared the World Tier 4 at like level 54 just because I could. And it was the fighting mobs level 75 when I'm 54. This build is so freaking strong. It's not even close. And since you're building straight tank stats with Paranormal Blood Surge, you're not getting one shot by higher level mobs, which lets you get into the content, which is also great for playing with friends. Unless you're like me, where in Season 1, I had 3 family members gaming with me, and they would literally get on their phones from work and walk into the dungeon portal with the remote desktop, and I would have to carry them. And this build was strong enough to carry 3 leechers with Paranormal Blood Surge. Literally 3 AFKs for my entire leveling experience from like 20 to 50. And it wasn't until 54 that I got off on my own, and I was just like, okay, I need to go test what this build can actually do. And I went into World Tier 4, the capstone, and cleared it. So, when I didn't have 3 leechers. So, this build slaps. And on a final note, Blizzard, in their infinite wisdom, oh my god, you gotta rebind your left click. Do not leave your left click here. This is just bad. It makes more sense to put like a long cooldown and use these. I made what should be my left click into tilde or the number 5. My brain just flops between the two of them. I try to make it tilde now. And to do that, you have to go to controls, find this dumbass checkbox, and uncheck this so that this move and interact button becomes... This option isn't even in the window until you uncheck this bullshit button that makes no sense. And then make sure you don't accidentally just make your left click to move, or you're going to go up to a chest and not be able to click the chest and be like, why can't I click the chest? So make sure it's move and interact, and you're welcome. So once again, Blood Surge, it's the best leveling spec from 1 to 60. After that, every other build comes online and has tools, and like this build is not meant for 60 plus. So when I say a leveling build, I am referring to just 1 to 60. So yeah, enjoy, like and subscribe, and have a great day.